24 years ago. 24 years ago. And this is a quick one. Right here at 6046. There you see it, Old Winter Garden. Oh my goodness. Let me capture that 300. That's where we're going to. I'm his servant. An appointed mother. From a big old white hand. And a big old book. A book that's not the normal size of the books that you see today, but it was a huge book. And so was the big white finger. And how it narrowed in on a word, and the word was mother. And of course that was way back in Virginia Beach. But ever since then, the year of 1997 until now, 98, 99 is when it really began to flourish in the state of Florida. You can see if we pull this out, and thank God for this Sikh family. Thank God for them. Thank God for them. You can see the date right there, June 16, 2000. You can see that. And let me tell you, 2000. Let me see if we can pull it up. You see it, 2000. Where is it at? I just saw it. 2,000 per month. Do you see that? 2,000 per month. Now, back in the day, it was gold and white. And those that get within an arm reach and a hug know that that's the colors of I Am Sent Me. And in that one area there, we had the gold carpet. I'm talking about beautiful gold carpet. When people walked in, they kicked off the shoes. And it was powerful. Back in the early 2000s, you see the open sign over there. It's not on. But that's actually the ad. You see it, 6046 from Wilcox Mall. Let's do the little journey. From arriving here in Florida, from Virginia Beach, take the ministry to Florida. Now, bless you with the blessing I promised you in Isaiah 60. Lord, we had no idea what that all meant. Did not have that light. But here as well, right in this area here, this space right here, 6046. And it, my goodness, it has taken a journey. This one particular thing, I mean, he's had so many different people. Here it says his servant leased this place in 2000. He's had so many people here. And this building back then, don't know how much it is right now, but back then, he said if he was to sell it to anyone, he would have sold it to his servant. And I believe at that time he won $340,000 for this. Of course, we're in the year 2024. He might want more, you know, seeing how everything is just skyrocketing. But so much have taken place since we did ministry here in the early 2000. So from the arriving here to Florida, it's a main street. It's a very busy street, beautiful. another location. Really don't, particular after learning, like we said, we've preached for so many all around the world, and but we've never done it for ourselves. We've built ministries, and like we said, we've seen them with 2, no more than 4. The place would end up packed out, and we've helped to build ministry like that, and never did it for ourselves. And then when the Lord sent his servant to Florida and put the name I Am Sent Me on it, it was like a virgin doing something for the first time. My God, have we come a long way. So a lot of things we didn't know. So after having the experience of street property, really don't particularly care too much for it, unless like you want to have like some type of soundproof, that kind of thing. But I'm here today on Old Winter Garden Road, coming back because, believe it or not, if you look there, can't make this up, you see. Can you see it? This is actually on June the 16th of 2000 is when his servant signed this lease to a building that was gold and white. It's blue. It's still a blessing. It's blue now, but at that time it was gold, and it's in all blue now. And my God, with no disrespect to my God, this place was a blessing to his servant. Remember one time we was having, let me walk back over there. I won't let this be long, but I remember his servant do. If you just let us take a moment down that memory lane, all this is blue. Got the flag, had the flag fly in there. Make sure we capture that stop sign as well. Know how MD is with that stop at that perfect timing of the 244. But here as well, quite a bit of flags flying. And this, like we said, this place is going through so many transitions. But remember, if you would allow his servant to go take a trip to that memory lane, you see that this underpath right here, or this area right there? You see that there? Right there, in that area right there, once again, the Lord brings us out of service and tells his servant to come outside. And we'll look for that message. Hopefully still have it. I believe it's called overflow. So this was our overflow area. So the Lord had his servant to shut down the service in here and come outside and do the overflow. And we did. And in doing so and hearing the Spirit of God, this is just as truthful as it can be. Those that get within an arm reach and a hug know this is truthful. As soon as we did this, as soon as we were led by the Spirit to do so, come out there and started having service. We have believe it is on a classic cassette. Come out and start having service. The Indians, the Sink family, and all from the building, they own all of this. This here, that over there, all that over there. The pink house, if you see, mauve house, whatever you call it, behind that, over there. They own this plaza here. They own that next building up there. And they own all of this, the Sink family. And as soon as we come out, being led by the Spirit to do this, they came from over here, out of their building, to over here, where we was in this overflow, and begin to fellowship with us. My God, was that not a powerful day? My Lord, it was a powerful day. So, we thank God for them. We thank God for the Sink family, because it was prophesied when we was at Wilcox Mall, 927 Goldwyn Avenue. At the Wilcox Mall, it was prophesied to a servant, a perfectly stranger, come in the service there. Just a little bit of that memory up that, because you never forget. It's not small beginnings for us, because like we said, we've been at this ministering abroad and across the country since the age of 22. And his servant is soon to hit 62 perhaps in about 2 more weeks from here. I'm that number 1 child born on the first day. I'm that number 1. And let me tell you, perfect stranger comes in there. His servant is high out there in the wind. and perfect stranger, after giving words towards the end of the service, perfect stranger stood up and said to his servant, said, "Mother," said, "you're going to be very close." As he was sharing other words, he says, "Mother, you're going to be very close to the Hindu nation." That's what he said. We haven't even tapped into, his servant hadn't even tapped into, what is now seen and known and heard as Bach 12. We hadn't even tapped in that yet. We haven't even hit Isaiah 60 and 12 yet. None of that. And he's talking about nations and said that his servant said, "Mother, you're going to be close to the Hindu nation." And MD come from a little small town that has never been something we use as an excuse or anything to hold us back or to stop us or slow us down or to even hinder. None of the above. But we let you know because we know how God can take things, something small, something people consider nothing, and make, oh my goodness, make something big and gigantic and all out of it. And so since we come from that little town, it's up on that wall of Doris A. Green. You'll see it there. That never forget where we were born and raised. But we've lived in Florida since the Lord sent us here. We've been living in Florida about to hit 26 years come September the 11th of 2024. So we've been here longer than we've lived in the actual place where we was birthed, which was in Chestertown, Maryland. But coming from a little small town, MD didn't know anything about no Hindu. What in the world's a Hindu? I'm honestly saying this. Little did we know at that moment. Some would say slow, but we say KNOW. We didn't know. Little did we know, but there was a prophecy out there that said you're going to be close. And MD done had people prophesying to MD. And you know how MD is about people wanting to prophesy. And everywhere you go, you can't even get in the door without them wanting to prophesy. Lord, help me when I come in with them 4 sons. You can't even get in and sit down. So we don't need another prophecy. Thank God for the ones that want to prophesy, but thank God. Amen. We can say we don't need another prophecy. We want God to do everything he done prophesied and said before if it be a true prophecy. But let me tell you something. Let his servant say this in the place of spirit. At 6046 is something else, y'all. I'm telling you. Powerful things happen here. Amen. And it was just the very beginning. It was just the onset of my goodness, what would turn out to be a very powerful enlightening and very powerful experience and encounter and things we would have to endure. Only God would know those things. What a blessing. But little did his servant know at that time, but do know now as the years have come up. If you look up the way there, you'll see right after that Shell station there is a school, Orlando Academy. Met another, that was our first one we met. A second one because of the sink. Let's get that right. She was the second one. Let me rewind that. The first one was the sink, and the second one was facade. Let me get that right. Make sure you hear that CC. Make sure you hear that CC at this moment. Soon as that prophecy came and that stranger, perfectly stranger, MD didn't know this individual, stood up and said, "Mother, you're going to," as he was saying other things, "Mother, this is what he said, Mother, you're going to be close to the Hindu nation." Little did his servant know that we would meet this family, the Sink family. That's what they call the Sink family. Little did we know that the Lord would bless us so. Of course, his servant didn't have $2,000 like that. We just only had, and God knows we didn't even know if that was coming, $754.78. And that was all child support. And $750 of it went towards keeping a roof over them 4 sons' head. So all we had was $4.78. And you talking about the miracle working power of God through $4.78. And that's what we had a month. And we tell folks that we had a handful of people, and the handful of people, the majority of them, and we get ready to close this, but the majority of them was, if not all of them, was on, it's either welfare or my dad, giving honor to him who was here. My dad, my mom, and even my brother graced this very place here. Had my whole family here at one time at the very beginning. We sent for them and brought them here. Asked them to come with my dad first, and you all have to hear that testimony. It's too long to tell it in such a short, sweet time. But all of this took place right here. Right here. And thanks to the Sink family. Thank God for the Sink family. And the reason why we said up there beyond that Shell station to the academy right there, her name was Sharon Prasad. And oh my goodness, another family that was Indian. The Sink family was Indian. That's what we found out about the Hindu nation. Oh, that's Indian. So the Sink family, and then the Prasad, and then you know where we went after that. Wasn't too long after that, we stayed at a place that was 10 years. We're going to talk about that. 10 years in that one place as I must build him a storehouse. That too was also owned by an Indian, the Hindu nation. And you, perfectly stranger, prophesied that to his servant. Mother, you're going to be very close to the Hindu nation. And that's why, that's another reason why his servant believed we're still here. We're still here. And we're still saying that we know that the Lord is not finished with Old Winter Garden yet. Old Winter Garden Road. This is old stomping grounds of his servant. It was at this building right here at 6046. At 6046, it was right here where the perfectly stranger who was holding, they was holding a meeting and all at that Ola Vista Park, which is right up on Powers, right here at this light, right up at that light up there. Didn't mean to cut so fast, but right up at that light, you go make that right, and maybe within a 10 to 15 seconds or so, you're right there at that park, Ola Vista Park. Nice, beautiful breeze on today. Got a yoke right there. Ola Vista Park is where they was at, and they was holding a meeting. And when he finally found his servant, he was a white man, all the way from Texas, out of a prominent ministry out there. And he's here in Florida holding some services and all. And one of the places where he was holding it was right over there at the Ola Vista. And heard his servant on the radio. And yes, we are soon to return to the radio, just for announcements and announcements only, for you to know, to keep you abreast with where we're headed, where we're going. Because if you look on this right here, that leash, you would see, can you see it? You would see, but you would see, I Am Sent Me Ministries. Before we became the storehouse, we were I Am Sent Me Ministries. And when the Lord shared with his servant that we are much bigger, I Am Sent Me is much bigger than ministries, and showed us the storehouse. We've never been the same since. We went from transition from a church to the storehouse. And now you hear the signature storehouse. Oh my goodness, you're talking about some growth. It's been a powerful growth as well as transitioning. A transition. But where were we at? He come and he heard his servant on the radio. And we're at 6046. The location, we're at 6046 Old Winter Garden Road on this special day, which on today, joy to fathers all around the world. It's Father's Day. And let me tell you something. We'll come back to that. Spirit, hold it to the remembrance of the Spirit. Spirit, bring it back to us. But let me tell you something. Another perfect stranger. You talking about strangers shall build up their walls. That's what the word said. That's that favorite part of Bob 10 that we didn't even know at that time. But it told us that strangers, the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. The king shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor, Lord, that's spelt with you in mind. Favou, with you in mind, are that favor. But, you know, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Oh my goodness. Thank God for mercy. And that's where we are today on this June 16th of 2024. I had to go live from here because God is doing so many wonderful, powerful things for I Am Sent Me. So we had to, it's out there. We won't ever change that. It's still there, ministries, because that's where we started. Ministries was so much that the Lord said, no, I need to show you what you're really doing, that you're going to do more than just a church. You're going to do more than the average church, the average pastor. So no, take them to the storehouse. He gave us a vision for the storehouse. That now to hear and to see the actual signature of our Lord put on there, and you see and hear, it is seen and heard as the signature storehouse. But a perfectly stranger, this one was a white man, come all the way out of Texas. Him and his wife heard a servant on WOKB. At that time, it was 1600 WOKB. Heard us ministering. He said to me when he finally found his servant, he said, I've been all up and down this area, Old Winter Garden Road, and I couldn't find you. And it had to have been a day of the Spirit when he did, because when he found us, I'm telling you, the testimony would be too long, but we're going to talk about it. And look at that X over there on the back of that there. All Spirit. When he found his servant, God's timing is perfect. When he found his servant, he the one that took us and had us to look on the wall. This is long before we even hit the walls of salvation. Light came to the walls of salvation. And he had his servant look to the wall. And when we looked to the wall, he said to his servant, he saw a hole in the wall. And he said to his servant that God, this is what he said. He said to me, he said, sir, he let me know that God already had. He saw a man with a suitcase coming. With a lot of money in the suitcase. And he said God had already had this person in the city before we come here. Now, ain't that something? That God had already had this person in the city before his servant come here. And he had a large suitcase. Isn't that powerful? Full of money. He was telling his servant at that time that God is going to provide all that you need for this ministry. And at that time, like we said, we was ministry. We was I Am Sent Me Ministry. And so from June the 16th of 2000, now we're at 2024. We've grown from ministry all the way up to I Am Sent Me, the signature storehouse, blessing of promise, that is known now as BA. And we're about to do something big. When we say we're about to do something big, you know, is that BIG for us is believe in God. And it's because we believed in God. That's why we believe his servant and all we've been here now 25 strong years. 25 strong years we've been here. 25 strong years. And it's safe to say, you understand, because we look at that, but we're not in the year 2025 year, but you know we are in advance. But the ministry of I Am Sent Me is 25 years strong as of March the 26th of this year, 2024. Started ministry, take the ministry forward. I bless you with the blessing. I promise you, Isaiah 60. No, we didn't forget that. Ministry took on a body. We started at the West Side Inn Suite with Eric there. He gave us a proposal at that moment to even buy that West Side Inn suite. And then we were still there, traveling abroad, meeting people in the city. Then we had an offer with the warehouse, and the person had the same name as his servant, father. My father is Elder George Green, also under Reverend George A. Green. And that's what made us stop that one day. Never even met him. It's because he had the same name as his servant father. Let me get this here. Let's keep moving. Don't want to stand still at one area because some of these areas have like little heads. MD. Y'all know how MD is. But same name is what got his servant attention, because we said God is in the name. He's in the name calling. He knows you by name. You ever had God call you, Doris? Yeah, Doris, wake up. You understand? You get God to call you by your name. You're chosen. You're pointed out. You're called out. Those are them called out. Them the ones that sought out. And he had the same name as his servant father. Again, we pay tribute to that great man of God, my father, George, the elder George A. Green. And met him, and he wanted us to do some things out of his warehouse, and that's what we did. And after that, then again, and this actually was before we met or first went to the Wilcox Mall. Let me put it out there. So I might have to slow down and do it, even if it sounds like we're rambling on, but I have to put it out there and serve that because we want you to remember. It's even as servant, don't ever want to forget where God brought us from. My God Almighty. God's been good to his servant. Gets me all choked up when we think about how good God's been to his servant. Off the little, I'm talking about off the little, you understand. And those that get real close and even with that arm reaching a hug, they really up on it, know that we didn't even start there. We started from a dime, from a place, a drive-through of a bank, dimes all over the place after the enemy said, I'm not going to give you a dime, see how you make it. Then God took us our way of the spirit, a shortcut, and all in the driveway with dime after dimes after dimes, as if somebody has spilled all dimes by that in that driveway of that bank. So that's where we go all the way back to that little dime, something as tiny and small as that little teeny dime. And that escalated to $4.78. Let's get that thing clear. And that's what God used to pay for this lease at this building. And the favor that God gave us was with the Sink family. And knowing that we didn't have $2,000, he worked us with $500 a week. And with a handful of a meal, we call it, looking at what we had. Like we said, the majority on welfare, mostly children. And then my dad, my mom, and all, they both on Social Security. But God. So when that man come through with that prophecy, we knew God was head on. It's all God. We didn't have to stand up there and ask for no dollar. Anybody got a dollar? God sent the people. They'd walk over that threshold with the check already written out. You understand? Writing a check 500 here, 1,000 here. That was all God. And back to this white man, never met him. The favor that God gave me with this white man, and he shared his, I've been looking for you, heard you on the radio, been looking for you. And my wife had already told me we're not going to leave this city till we find her. And that's why we're going back to the radio, just in case someone's looking for I AM Sent Me, looking for his servant. And like we said, we've been at the same P.O. Box 683165, Orlando, Florida, 32868-3165. We've been there since November the 7th of 2005. So no excuse. If you really want to find someone, you know how to find them. You'll find them. You have to be led by the Spirit. And I'm so glad that God just don't allow anything to find me. Those that do find his servant, you can trust the Spirit of truth to know that they were led by the Spirit. And those never come empty-handed. They come bearing gifts and huge blessings. And that was the one that told us about he saw a hole in the wall. And that God already had, what he said, God already had provision in this city before his servant ever come here. And he saw a large suitcase full of money. It's almost like one prophet showed up here and he said, looking just like I was looking at one day. I had on gray and black, and the person showed up. He showed up with gray and black on. And said to me, why did you let me know you wanted to do ministry when you first come to Florida? Well, you could have seen that. It was all over me. I mean, I didn't hide that. We didn't start ministry right away. Like I said, if it wasn't for Retagua that day being on the radio and women everywhere in Florida hearing and serving and come and pack that little unit out there at that building 355 South Wymore Road, we wouldn't have, you understand. Thank God for the radio. Thank God for Joy. There was back in the day, it was a radio called Joy. Rejoice. Yes, what would Rejoice. And thank God for Genesis. There was a radio station named Genesis, and thank God for WOKB, which is a radio station, 1600, and then also we did television, WOKB Channel 7. So thank God for every tool that God used to provoke and promote ministry out of his servant. Gave us all we needed. We lacked nothing. It was all spirit, still all spirit. And why did you tell me that you wanted to do ministry when you first come to Florida? Why would I have to tell anybody? I was sent. Take the ministry to Florida. I'll bless you with the blessing I promised you in Isaiah 60. Some people don't get that. They just go. You get a lot of them just went preachers. No, MD was sent. His servant was sent. Mother was sent. That's why I'm still here. And if you had to say something, I would have given you $20,000 and put you up in a hotel, but I'm in a building. But you know, when we look back at those days, like I said, we're on memory lane today. When we look back at those, you know, when we look back at those days, we thank God, because then here come another prophecy. We was out here on this area here, as memory serves us correctly. We was right here in this area right here where you see a servant pointing. We was at this area right here, and we was having some kind of function and giving away things and all. And here come another perfect stranger. She was a female. And she stopped right in this area after seeing what we were doing. We had an outside function. And she stopped right in this area right here. This area right here. And she... You know how some you can't tell them they're not prophets and prophetess. But she said to me, she said she just come to find out who I was. And she said, I just want to say it's just too small. And then it wasn't too long after that, come back again. Got to come back again. I'm telling you, some powerful things happen here. Happened right here on this street, right here on 6046 Old Winter Garden Road. That the Lord sends us back and say, you're going to do a live from there today. You see that double. See, the double was with us even before we knew the double is upon us. And $4.78. You're going to see that testimony. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that. We'll put it up on the wall. This wall is going to bless you later on tonight. We're going to put it up. We got Father's Day messages. You're going to hear a message when I'm preaching with my father in the building. Oh, it's going to be powerful. Amen. And this message you're going to hear tonight is going to be, I called you, Father. I called you to be a father. That's a powerful message. And my father, thank God for the victory. My father was in this building right here. So that's another reason why we had to come and do this live here. But one day, must put it in here. One day we was out here working, and all this brick and everything down here was all like grass and everything. So, you know, it took a lot to to tend to the yard. We had a tree stump pulled up over here. We did some work here as well. Had the tree stump and all that pulled up. Thank God for the young man and his company that blessed us to pull it up and get it up. Make more room. And we were out here, me and my 4 little sons, just working around the church. Oh, it's a more powerful testimony that comes from this. Right now, we just want to keep it light as possible. But you know it's going to be a comeback Sunday. Out here working around the yard, and another white man stopped. Perfect stranger again. And he come up, all bold. Me and my 4 little sons, they were little too at the time. And he come up and he said to me, he said, what you plan on doing with this building? What you plan on doing? And of course, walked him over to the side where we had removed that stump and everything from over that tree, and the stump was left and we had all of it taken up. And you can see that over to the side is like this door over here, but you don't get to come out. They may have opened it up since the servant had this building where you could come out that side door, but at that time we couldn't come out the side door. Only them 2 front and the other side door on the right side. But brought him over to the side over here and said to him, well, when I get done filling this area out, because it was a small area, built an altar too. Thank God for Elder Mitchell, who built me an altar. That was our first altar that we built. I'm talking from material scrap on up. Talking about altar, but we'll talk about that later on. Did you hear the siren? His servant heard it. Well, so we'll include that down and how that has grown. We'll put that right about here because we heard the siren. A little one's coming. My, has that grown. But standing right here, we said, well, once we fill this area over here, we're going to knock out that wall and expand. And here, never met him either. And he said to me, and it's still going to be too small. He said to his servant, don't you see yourself in a stadium somewhere? That was life-changing. Oh, my goodness. That was life-changing. Absolutely life-changing. Because sometimes you can be doing something and it can be too small, but then God is still blessing you. He's blessing you with the small for you to see. Listen to this. Here come that light, big light through the box. Blesses you with the small till you can see the ALL. Till you can see all that God really has for you. He'll use that small. Because I'm telling you, you don't get to that big without that little and that small first. A little one shall become 1,000 and a small one a strong man. You don't get to that big till you come through the little and the small. My God, has God blessed this servant. So the one that was saying, I'll give you $20,000 and talking about a hotel, I felt like I was being pimped. You understand? Like someone want a prostitute. I'm in a building, for crying out loud. You talking hotel, I'm in a building. Did you not know I come from a hotel? West Side Inn Suite. Even journey through, you could see some of our journey to the Holiday Inn later on. Yeah, we've been here. God's been good to his servant. Put our foot and allowed our feet to go places and give us land and all and bless us. And we didn't even have the finance, but we had that favor with you in mind. And what I'm telling folks, when they miss the opportunity, when they miss being a blessing, what God does, God will raise somebody up. He'll raise somebody else up. And to give you that $20,000. You ain't got to prostitute yourself. You ain't got to have nobody pimp you for it. You ain't got to sleep with them to get it. You don't have to do any of that. God will give it to you. He'll give it to you. Measures that are pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I'm telling you, you could tell us a lot of memories here. And also in our closing, this is also where his servant came and sprinkled, when we had the ashes of his servant father and all. This is where we sprinkled it, in one of the areas where we sprinkled his ashes, because his grace, to have him with us, to have him come all the way from Baltimore, Maryland, he was 70 years of age. He could have just said, nah, I don't want to travel. He could have been just like my aunt, baby, you know, I'm too old to travel now, move somewhere else. But after we put that phone down, after the Lord said, call him and ask him to come. See if he'll come and help you with the ministry. And like we said, we were a virgin at this, you know, and never did it before. Only traveling with my father all around the country and all. He preaching in revivals and all that. And seeing the miraculous healing power of my God through him. Who would know that he would say, God, I might have failed you, raise up my daughter. Who would know that same glory on him would end up on his daughter at his request. But this is where we sprinkled his ashes here and up there at 6440 at that warehouse, the one area he didn't get to make it to. But we remember that also come back in the place of spirit, to bring back to the remembrance of his servant, that how we sprinkled his ashes around this building. And believe it or not, there's still a blessing in this area. Still a blessing. And we're going to talk about that as we put this video up on the wall. We will come back and we will tag certain things to it, and even a testimony. And then there's a testimony that you have not heard yet, that we're going to make sure that testimony be a blessing to the future leaders over small ministries, leaders over all denominations. We're going to tell you a side of this ministry that most people won't tell you about. But if God be for you, he's more than the world against you. Well, I'm high servant. I'm that mother people been talking about. Thank God for every sainted mother. That his servant was blessed to sit around. And thank God for leaders that saw the mother in me before God ever appointed his servant mother. Thank God for the ALL. I'm that mother that they talk about. That at the age of 36, pastors in the city, particularly one, would say, I can't call you mother, you too young. They didn't see no gray hair at that time, and now we see it. But like we told her and had to say to her, if you can't call me mother, because some pastors we found out they were having problems with that. And one would say, I can't call you that because we're the same age. And I had to say to her, if you can't call me mother, then you want to keep me from a blessing, because my most blessed name is Mother. And we've come a mighty long ways. Well, let's close this video at 60. Let's give it to you one more time. At 60. I would say we're going to do bigger than this. God knows how God used this area here. Used something small, but something little, but charged a big penny for it. But he used a small amount to show me he could do it. Now you know MD, 25 years later, off of Old Winter Garden Road here as well. Little number 15 at the end. We'll multiply that later on, 15. 6,000 times 15, we'll multiply that. 25 years later, you know MD done, grown mightily from $4.78. So if we could handle, through the Spirit of God, I Am Sent Me could handle at $4.78 a $2,000 building. And that's not counting on anybody, because that's what we want to talk about. Because can you do it if everybody leaves you? You're still going to do ministry now. And we're going to tag right at this moment as the Spirit brings it to a servant. This is where you're going to tag, the one message about is ministry. Is ministry in you? And we'll get the exact topic and put it right here, where God came to a servant and asked his servant a question about his ministry. Are you sure you want to do ministry? And we did a message, and we're going to hook that message right about here where you see the full topic. It's been a minute or so. So we make sure that we go and get the exact, precise words that was given to us. When talking about ministry in you, ministry in me, it may be somewhere around that line, but I'm telling you, when ministry is in you, you can't step down, you can't walk away. When people leave you by yourself and see how you make it, you still persevere. You still go, because see, like Moses would say, if your presence ain't there, I won't go up. But when God's presence is there and God's presence is upon you, you'll make it, even if it's you by yourself. Are you ready to walk alone? Powerful words. God will provide. And like we said, there are some preachers out there that they need a whole congregation and still be struggling. And then there are some of us that God really truly does, through his divine call, truly takes care of us. Truly. Even if he has to send a perfect stranger. All right. Joy to fathers all around the world. AATW, and a special tribute to the one that contributed to the very birth of his servant, my father, the late George Arthur Green.